Hello everybody and welcome back to the Library of Babel. Alrighty, so in this one we are just going to take as much progress as we physically can because this one is going to be hard. However, I think we're going to open up immediately with an abnormality fight. Facing off against, funny enough, the Knight of Despair. Alrighty, here we go. She has immunity to all damage and cannot be targeted, but also does not act. Sorrow gives tears to a random sword every 3 scenes. If the character is staggered, activates the scene after. Despair. When a sword with tears takes lethal damage, falls into despair next scene. Blessing of Despair. When the abnormality falls into despair, all swords fully recover HP and stagger resist and use a special combat page. And a broken heart. If all swords impale the abnormality in despair state, become staggered and targetable next scene. Oh, and also the swords. They gain a speed die, use special pages, and change resistances while under the effects of tears. Respite. Enter a state of suspension, upon taking lethal damage and revives after 2 scenes. If this fails to deal any damage to its target while in despair state, the sword will impale the Knight of Despair, dealing damage to her. And then Tears is the extra super special combat page. Let's see. This dice deals damage equal to dice value times 2% of target's max HP and ignores resistances. Oh yes. Oh yes. Lovely that is. So let's see. We have to kill the one with the extra buff. So I'm pretty much just going to go all in as much as possible. We're also going to draw just a little bit. Let's see. 3 to 7. I'm going to try and dodge it. And then let's go for zap. Let's go for charge up. And then I'm going to go for another high-speed stabbing. This is not going to be the best turn in the world. I know that, but we're still going to try it. Okay, we do get a double dodge, which does empower us a little bit. Daring Decision gets us a stagger real easy. High-speed stabbing also helps out quite a bit. Zap gets us a little bit of paralyze. We don't kill the sword in time, but that's okay. We're gonna go for Justice on Tiffereth. After all, she does have her magical girl outfit ready to go. Okay, we need to kill that sword this turn. So I'm gonna go for another Daring Decision and also go for an Avert. Then I'm gonna go for your shield, just so we can take it out, no problem. Okay, I know this looks bad, right? But I'm going to go for Flash of Sunup, and we're going to hope for max rolls. I know that's really not the smartest choice I've ever made in the world, but you know what? We're going to try it anyway. We should be able to kill the sword this turn. Oh yeah, definitely. Okay, you know what? 2 out of 3 isn't that bad on my. We do also get the double dodge, which is going to help us quite a bit. Daring Decision takes out that sword, which means it's the first sword to impale the Knight of Despair. I'm going to go for Love, just so we have it, and I'm going to use that on not Caden. Okay. So, we need to prevent them from doing any damage, and then they will impale her. Okay, let's see what we can do then. Gain paralysis. Inflict paralysis, everything down. This should dodge no problem. I'm also confident in this one. Then let's go for Daring Decision. And then I'm going to try and stack up a little bit of damage. I know that's a little bit of a weird move, but you're going to have to trust me on this one. Here we go. Okay, no damage will be done. That's one sword impaled. Okay. Second sword impaled. Good stuff. All 3 swords have now been impaled. Hey, not bad at all. And she is also targetable this scene, so everyone do as much damage as possible. And that should be the fight. She is still hyper-endured to most things, so I don't actually know if we're going to kill her this scene. Not quite. 191 health remaining. Wow, I'll admit, I'm a little bit surprised that she actually managed to walk through that. That sucks. We're gonna go for suppress. I'm gonna go for your shield, because it actually has quite a fair chance to win. Let's go ahead and protect Tifrith. Then I'm going to go for Electric Shock, just to make sure that this sword goes down in a timely fashion. And then that other sword is just going to do damage to us. There's not really a whole lot that we're going to be able to do about it. Stagger goes down in the sword on the back. Ugh, Tifrith does take quite a bit of damage here. Okay. So we take out this sword this scene, and that allows us to do some big damage to Knight of Despair next scene. We're gonna go for charge up. I'm also gonna go for the zap, which I technically did first, but that's okay. Let's do a flash of sun up just to avoid any damage. Okay, good stuff. Tiny bit of burn. Daring Decision takes out the sword, which is going to put her into an angry state next scene. We get a little bit of light back on Not Caden. Okay. Now, we gotta stop all the damage that we can. Although, we, don't really have a whole lot of light. Ugh. Huh. Well, this isn't ideal, is it? Unfortunately, we're just not able to stop this sword. Ow. Okay, we are going to be able to stop the other 2, so that is going to be 100 damage that she does take, guaranteed. But because the 3rd sword didn't impale, she isn't going to get staggered, at least not yet. Okay, you're going for Caden. Huh. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to really stop this. Let's just try and do a tiny bit of damage. 5 to 7. You know what? That might be enough. We'll try for the suppress. Okay, it actually landed, which is 50 more damage to the Knight of Despair. She only has 31 health remaining. Okay. Go all in. As much damage as physically possible. I know our builds are not perfect, but we should be able to manage 30 damage. Yes, sir! And so falls the Knight of Despair. Probably one of the harder abnormalities we fought so far, so... Oh no.
Hello, I'm Tifrith, hi!
And a new assistant librarian awakens. We also get access to Blessing. Single ally at the end of each scene, gain highest damage and stagger damage type taken, Blessing, next scene. Blessing is minus 45% X HP resistances and Y stagger resistances. When X or Y hit, gain 1 shield or stagger shield. So it lowers our... It lowers our stagger resist, which means we take more damage, but then we get a tiny bit of shield to offset the extra damage we take? That seems terrible. Unless I'm misunderstanding. Unless it means negative 45% damage taken for both, and when we get hit, we get a shield, but I don't think that's what it means. Which makes me think that it's pure crap. Well, moving on to despair, plus number of dead allies by 2, rounded up, dice power, and guard. On death, loses abnormality page. All other allies lose ally stagger resist missing by 4 stagger resist. But gives 6 shields to all other allies for 2 scenes and inflicts 3 feeble and disarm to all enemies. Okay, that's a bit better. And then blades, wetted by teardrops. Single ally on clash, win, and hit. Deal base roll times 0.6 plus 0.5% of target's max HP as extra damage. We'll just pretend that we know what any of that means. And which of these do we want to start with? They all suck. The one on the right is going to be the worst. I definitely think this one right here is going to be the hardest one, so let's start left to right. Oh, this one's not going to be fun either. That's how they sound. The Sweepers. 450 health. Oh. 160 stagger resist. Normal, weak, normal. They deal 10% more damage and take 30% reduced damage. Liquefied flesh. Plus target's rupture by 3, max of 2, defensive power, and dice guard. Plus 1 offensive power at 6 plus target's rupture. On block versus offensive lose, recover 2% of max HP. On block versus offensive lose. Does that mean when they on block versus offense? Okay, so when we win the clash against a block dice of theirs, they recover health? Okay. The darkest night. Plus 1 defensive power of pages involving rupture at 50% and up, health missing. Huh? Dude, the wording is insane. Plus 1 defensive power of pages involving rupture, yes, at 50% plus HP missing. You know, you could just say at 50% or less. And I think that would be significantly more clear, because 50% plus HP missing is like, yes, when they're above 50% health. But then the missing part is like, huh? So I think 50% or less. I think, yeah. On defensive win, Sunder Rupture with plus HP percent missing by 2. See, there you go. Rupture Sundered. Recover Rupture Sundered by 5. Max of 10%. Max HP and stagger resist. And inflict Rupture Sundered by 5. Max of 5. Anti-recovery. What is this passive? That is one passive. Bro. What is that? Okay. And then Corpse Cleanup. Plus 2 Rupture through pages. On hit, once per page. Inflict 3 plus number of dead allies times 3. Rupture next scene. At the start of each scene, recover number of characters that died this scene times 2 if character is a sweeper times 10%. Okay, that doesn't seem busted at all. And it also recovers that much percent of max HP and stagger resistance. Also, double persistence, hauler, liquefied flesh, and the darkest night recovery. What? So, okay, wait a minute. So not only are they already recovering a stupid amount of their resources, it's also doubled. That's insane. That is insane. Double extract fuel. On use, restore 2 light. On hit, inflict 3 rupture and recover 3% of max health. On clash win, recover 2% of max health. Wow, extract fuel is so good on them because if they win the block, they recover 2% of max health. If they lose the block, they recover 2% of max health. Double trash disposal. On hit, recover 2% of max health. Oh, good. On clash win, recover 3% of max HP. Meanwhile, if they lose that clash, recover 2% of max HP. On hit, inflict 4 rupture. On clash win, recover 2% of max HP, but if they lose, recover 2% of max HP. On hit, inflict 2 rupture at 4 plus number of recycles times 4 plus target's rupture recycle up to 5 times. Sweep the back streets. Plus 3 dice power and rupture through pages if the target is staggered. On hit, inflict 2 rupture this scene and 1 paralysis next scene. On clash win, recover 2% of max HP. On hit, inflict 2 rupture and recover 2% of max HP. Night in the back streets. Minus 2 dice power for the scene. On use, recover 5% of max HP. On hit, inflict 5 rupture and recover 5% of max HP, then 4, then 3. And then persistence. On use, gain 3 persistent. On hit, inflict 4 rupture and recover 4% of max HP, and then do it 2 more times if you win those clashes. And persistence has been seemingly buffed. Upon taking lethal damage, raise HP to 0 and recover 100 HP. Reduced by 25 HP for each revive. So rather than it being a percent chance, you made it a guaranteed 4 revives. Okay. Right. Well, let's give it a little try, shall we? Right. Oh, right, I forgot. Right, their persistence is doubled. It's not 4 guaranteed revives, it's 8. Cool. Very cool. Wow, sweepers, good job. Keep it up. God, does it even matter what we do here? They're just gonna keep spamming, sweep the back streets, and we're, like, as good as dead. Like, I just do as much damage as possible, I guess. It doesn't really matter what we go for. They're just gonna heal it all back anyway. I was right! Oh my god, every time you win against their defensive dice, they heal anyway. Oh my goodness. I thought maybe I had misread something. No, that is exactly how it works. And they heal at the end of every scene. Oh my goodness. That is actually insane. How are you ever supposed to win this? That is so not okay. I cannot believe what I'm witnessing. That is insane. So we're gonna look at another fight instead. let's see what they have. A She Fixer. Normal, endured. Wait, endured, normal, 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 weak, normal. They deal 30% more damage and 20% more stagger and deflect damage and take 20% less. They're buffed at emotion level 2. Kizuna, extreme fatigue, plus HP missing by 2% all damage. Plus 1 dice power at 60% plus HP missing. Again, feel like the wording is a little weird there. Plus, number of dead allies, max of 4. Every 4th offensive dice power. On hit, die inflicts 1 plus number of dead allies, max of 4, bleed for 2 scenes. After losing HP through pages, gain HP lost as shield. At the start of each scene, gain number of dead allies, max of 4, haste and damage up, and starts the battle with 40% less health. Cutting Edge. Plus HP percent missing by 40 dice power of pages involving bleed and bleed through pages. And Last Breath. Upon taking lethal damage, if overkill damage is lower than 25% of max HP, once per scene, nullify it and gain overkill damage as shield. If it's lower than 25% of 420. Because it's not current HP. It's not like, oh, 1 health, you just need to do 2 damage. No. 25% of max HP, of which they have 420. Epic! To overcome crisis. On use, draw 1 page. On hit, inflict 2 bleed. Next scene. At 35% or less HP, restore 1 light. So you did it there. Why not? I don't know. Triple desperate struggle. On engagement with page. Okay. Lose 8 HP for plus 2 dice power. On hit, inflict 3 bleed. On hit, inflict 2 bleed. And quadruple endless battle. Plus HP percent missing by 35 dice power. On clash win, gain 1 haste next scene. On hit, inflict 2 bleed. On hit, inflict 3 bleed. Well, shall we begin? Okay. Little bit of value to be had. I mean, we're gonna have so much power on this floor that if we start losing too many clashes, I'm gonna start to have some questions. Okay, Laughing Powder. Baba Boy. There we go. We start to get a little bit of our stagger resist back. Plus, we're also sharing our stagger resist, so very, very powerful. We're gonna go for Sparking Spear. What's this? Kizuna. Oh, okay, it just tells you that it's active. We don't have 4 haste, so I'm not gonna go for Transpierce. Let's go for Stab and Detonate. Then we are gonna go for Transpierce right here. Let's try and counter Desperate Struggle. We don't have 4. I'm gonna go for Collision. Then I'm gonna go for a Refine. Let's go for another Sparking Spear. And then I'm just going to go for Mend Weapon to try and protect ourselves a little bit. Okay, we do double dodge. Very, very good. Take a little bit of damage, but that's okay. Okay, Stab and Detonate, getting us a lot of value. Sparking Swing. Or, Sparking Spear, rather. Okay, we are taking a little bit of damage, but that's okay. Let's go for Tentacles on Netzak, because he's our heavy hitter of the floor. Oh man, they've got a whole lot of dice to work with, huh? Okay, here's what we do. We go for Refine, boom, that's a stagger. Then we go for Collision, boom, that's a kill. Then we go for another collision. And we go for transpierce. Let's see. I'm gonna ignore you. And instead, let's go for transpierce. And then I'm gonna go for sparking spear. Then over here, let's go for collision. And speared sweep. This should result in a couple staggers for us. There's the first one. There's the second one. Wow, you actually managed to counter that. That is surprising. Ouch. You take a tiny bit of damage. That's okay. Collision almost getting us another spear. Okay, there we go. Or another stagger. Spear. There's a lot of spears on screen. Okay. I think we can make it to the next phase this turn. So let's go boom, boom, boom. Then we go boom, boom. Let's see. Let's go boom, and then just in case. Let's do a just in case here. Let's go for that. This should be 4 kills. We'll see. But this should be 4 of them. Okay, you go down. Right, we have to overkill. I forgot. Okay, you go down. You go down. Okay, now we go for Token of Friendship. Let's start getting a little bit of regen because we're absolutely going to need it in this next scene. I'm just gonna try and kill you. Then we go bop, boom, pow, pop, and then you should be dead. I don't see them both surviving this. There's no way. Okay, one down. And the other goes down as well. Okay, now time for part 2. Yeah, this is where it gets, this is where the real fight begins. Eugene. 1,270 health, 500 stagger resist. Normal, normal, endured, normal, normal, endured. +1 dice power. Deals 55% more damage. Deals 35% more stagger and deflect damage. Takes 10% more damage. Edge of Death. Plus, damage dealt this reception by 4% damage. +4 received all damage and stagger damage. After one-sided engaged, use to overcome crisis on the target. Whenever emotion level rises, add single use, 0 cost, Boundary of Death to hand for the scene. On clash win, recover 4% of max stagger resist. Upon reaching 0 HP, once per reception, fully recover from stagger. On stagger recover, gain 4 haste and damage up for 4 scenes. Oh my god. Wow, that's a passive. Untransferable. +1 speed dice, plus HP percent missing by 2% all damage, +1 dice power at 60% HP missing, +1 number of dead allies max of 4, every 4th offensive dice power. On hit, die inflicts 1 + number of dead allies max of 4 bleed for 2 scenes. After losing HP through scenes, gain HP lost as shield. At the start of each scene, gain number of dead allies max of 4, haste and damage up, starts the battle with 60% reduced health. Now the other half. At the start of each scene, give number of scenes max of 4, other She Association allies 1 damage up and haste. Upon reaching 0 HP, unless staggered, use stagger resist ×2 as HP. At the start of each scene or on ally death, once, if no allies are present and 3 + She Association allies died through the reception, gain 4 Death Incarnate. Death Incarnate. Negate enervation and exhaustion, and at the end of each scene, lose 1 Death Incarnate. And then Eye of Death enervation. plus 4 dice power if base roll contains a 4, plus 44.44% all damage. Apparently she's Jin now. Or minus 3 dice power. At the start of each scene, gain 1 plus number of dead allies, max of 4, damage up. Deflect assault. At combat start, gain a 7 plus HP missing by 35 dice power block die. Overbreathing exhaustion. On 4 plus original cost page use, restore 2 light and gain 2 haste and damage up next scene, or 1 speed die is broken. Cutting edge, last breath. 25% of 1200, by the way. Cool. Triple to overcome crisis, triple desperate struggle, and triple endless battle. Plus her own special dice, which she gets every single scene for free. Valentine. 810 health, 200 stagger resist, endured, normal, weak. Plus 1 dice power, he deals 70% more damage, and 20% stagger and deflect damage. He also takes 10% more damage. Singular strike. On 1 non-counter die page use, plus 1 dice power, and 10% final all damage. Gain 1 strength, endurance, and haste next scene as well. And then when you do it with a hit, once per page, die inflicts 8 bleed, 1 bind, and damage down for 2 scenes. Okay, Kizuna, extreme edge, cutting edge, last breath. Triple overcome crisis, double desperate struggle, triple extreme edge, plus HP missing percent all damage. On use, gain 2 haste next scene. On hit, inflict 1 disarm, bind, damage down, and bleed. So it inflicts 2 bind, 2 damage down, and 12 bleed. Cool. An endless battle. Tenma. 750 health, 230 stagger resist, normal, weak, normal, endured, normal, plus 1 dice power, deals 20% more damage, and 70% stagger and deflect damage. 10% received all damage, respiration, plus 1 plus percent HP missing by 25 speed. At the end of each scene, gain a 3 light, restore 1 light, draw 1 page, and gain 2 starlight this scene and haste next scene. Huh? Brr. Deadly Blur. Plus speed advantage times 5, max of 50% all damage. Minus haste times 25% received all damage for first hit in a scene. Okay, you have Kizuna, Cutting Edge, and Last Breath. Overcome Crisis, Triple Flying Sword, which is plus haste by 2, max of 2, dice power. On use, gain 2 haste next scene. On hit, inflict 1 bleed, then inflict 2. Desperate Struggle, Triple Flashing Strike, which is plus haste, max of 4, dice power. On hit, inflict 3 bleed, on hit, inflict 2 bleed, and on clash win, gain 1 haste. An endless battle. Well, we still have net to explore, and then we have 1 more floor, so we might be able to do it. So, I know, unfortunately, they all get empowered when low health. However, I really think that Valentine is the biggest threat on the field. So even though it's going to empower the other 3, I think we have to focus fire him down. He is such a big threat. Not only does he roll extremely high, but he also applies a lot of status effects. So I think we just have to focus fire him down as much as realistically possible. Okay, we didn't... Oh, Transpierce was not enough to counter Valentine. If that doesn't say that he's a huge threat, I don't know what does. Unfortunately, the bind is pretty insane. Yeah, we're just gonna go for as many hits as possible and hope that it'll be enough. I'm gonna go for sparking. We are going to take a lot of damage. There's honestly not a whole lot of ways around it. So I'm just going to go for Mend Weapon. Then I'm going to do it again. +2. Yeah, we will be getting a lot of damage if nothing else. I don't even know if it's worth clashing with him. There is Boundary of Death for free. Plus HP percent missing, percent all damage. Has plus number of dead allies, max of 3. Minimum roll value. On kill or stagger, restore 44.44% max stagger resist and 4 light. Man, she really is Jin. On roll, multiply the base roll by 10. On hit, inflict roll value by 4 bleed. Cool. Well, I'm just gonna go for Mend Weapon and hope for the best. Then, I'm gonna go for Collision just to do some damage to you, and then I am going to go for... I'm gonna go for Mend Weapon just to stack some damage. Okay. Collision working out quite nicely for us. Boundary of Death! Lands it completely. Okay, then we take a ton of single-sided damage. We do get a stagger on Valentine, but I don't even think that we're going to be able to kill him before this fight is over. Let's go ahead and buff up Netzach so that we get a little bit of nuke damage when we inevitably die. I'm going to go for Collision, and that's pretty much all she wrote. Let's do Transpierce, Sparking, and Stab and Detonate. Then I'm going to go for Sparking and Stab and Detonate, because we're dead. There's no way around it. So we're just going to try and get some nuke. Valentine is dead. Okay. That's going to help us a lot. Also, Boundary of Death absolutely destroying Ciara. Okay, Revival passive with Netzach does go to a little bit of use. Unfortunately, we're still dead. But we did also just get a lot of free damage on the other 3 who are still alive. So there's a little bit of value to be had. Okay, who the heck do we think is going to be able to get through the rest of this? Honestly, I think the only one who really stands a chance is Hod. So let's try. Okay, ton of endurance is going to be had for us next scene, provided that we can live that long, although we did just take 60 damage. Okay, now die, not working at all. Head to head, also completely failing us. Okay, we get we get staggered. Not off to a good start. Here comes another Boundary of Death, which we just can't stop at all. So let's just try and stack damage on Eugene, who could care less that we're going for her. All right. Okay, 156 damage done to us. 135 in one hit. And 69 from a counterattack. Well, bad news. We lose. Oh, yeah. Oh, I can really feel the balance turning in these fights. It feels good. Just knowing that that these fights are well balanced. You know, say what you will about how good I am, because I know I'm not. You guys know I'm not. However, it doesn't matter that I'm bad at Ruina, because guess what? It doesn't matter how good you are. This is insane. Like, what are these numbers? just to put it in perspective, we don't even have 200 health, and some enemies are consistently hitting for 150. That's just crazy. That is insane. Okay, so I know that those passives took me very much by surprise. However, I have used the power of taking a step back and reconsidering some things, and I've touched up some of our builds. Malchus Floor hasn't gotten a update just yet. There's a couple receptions I'm waiting for that. But here's some of the changes that we've done. Yesod now uses Meow's page. With these passives, in times like these, cavity treatment, downward, hit, double kick, and punch to the solar plexus. I don't know why he's so dark looking. We'll just ignore that. I'm sure it's fine. Ori is using Mumu's page. With, in times like these, grinding the bowlers, cavity treatment, and downward hit. We do have room for something else, but I don't know what I want. Frank is using Zhongmi's page. With relentless hatches, double axe, high spirit, and hook. And Vivosa is using Oink's page. With hold steady, cavity treatment, protection work, double kick, and punch to the solar plexus. So, you know, it's pretty much a tremor / rupture team with a little bit of keeping each other alive synergy. There was a tiny bit of page and passive changes for Hod's Floor, namely Desperate Struggle for Seo. But pages are pretty much the same. Zwei Retaliation, Keeping It Stride, Zwei Swordmanship, Zwei Protection, Zwei Swordmanship, Level 1, and Double Axe. Then, Firenze has had no page changes, but we have added on Cutting Edge and Last Breath. I think you might know why. Then, Anise has a significantly different setup. This is a lot more teammate-oriented with a little bit of Rupture synergy, which we're going to be getting through our passives. Then we have Calmness, Midnight Work, Street Lights, Zwei Protection, Keeping in Stride, and Zwei Swordmanship Level 1. We have a tiny bit of Slash synergy, so it's not great, but hey, Rupture is Rupture. And Mairn is using Valentine's page because we got lucky enough to snipe him. With Carcass Recycling, Needle Work, Kurakumo Discipline, and Razor Strike. Then, Mr. Netzak, there's been one passive change to all 4 characters, and it's Protection Work. So basically, Netzak's Floor, ideally, should be significantly more unkillable now, because we should, theoretically, be getting like 5 shielding for free at the start of every turn, basically. And with Tifris Floor, here's the big change. Tifrith is using Olga's page with a couple of revisions. And for passives, we have Best Choice, Grinding the Bowlers, Squeak Squeak, and Follow the Lead. Mai is using a She Fixer's page. Currently no passives, still thinking about that, but there is quite a bit of opportunity there. Not Caden is using Alex page with, again, a little bit of a revision for how we had it set up. I think some of the other pages we were using just weren't quite good enough. And for passives, Electric Shock, Unstable Charge, pss, pss, and Follow the Lead. And Pansy, the placeholder character of Tifris Floor, is using the exact same build as Mai. I do still need to do passives, but that's all of our revisions. I think it's gonna do us a lot better. I don't think that it's perfect, right? I don't think that it's perfect by any stretch of the imagination. However, I think that this new setup is going to do us much, much, much better than our current setups. Not to mention, Tiffer's floor actually can be used now, so I think our best shot is against she. I do want to take on that, the final general reception of Urban Plague that we missed. That's not it. Hang on, wait a minute, we'll find it. What the heck was it? It was, there we go, that ought to do it. And here we are. Hanafuda, 350 health, 150 stagger resist, normal endured, weak. Deals 35% more damage and 15% stagger and deflect damage. Sleight of hand, plus max light advantage, buy 2, dice power, and all damage. On discard, gain discarded page cost ×2 shield and give discarded page cost stagger shield to all allies. At the start of the scene, gain number of pages discarded last scene, starlight, and all allies draw number of pages discarded last scene by 2 pages. God, I wish we could have that passive. Bottom deal. On discard, plus 1, max of 3, dice power of the next die this scene. At the start of each scene, if owner discarded 3+ pages, gain number of consecutive activations, max of 3, stagger damage up, and stagger protection, and give 1+ number of consecutive activations, max of 3, stagger damage up, and stagger protection to all subordinates. Stacking the deck. On 2 discards, gain 1 starlight at the start of each scene, restore number of pages discarded last scene by 2, max of 3 light, and give number of pages discarded last scene by 2, max of 3, damage up and protection to all subordinates, and consecutive activations by 2, other random allies. If all other allies were affected, gain 3 damage up and protection, and give 3 haste to all allies. Double dealing. At the start of the act, gain 1 haste and add 2 single-use exhaust on discard copies of Low at Night, High at Day. I don't know what that means. At the start of each scene. At 4 or less scenes, add 1 single-use exhaust on discard copy of Low at Night, High on Day. And Sakura. Plus number of pages discarded last scene times 5% all damage. Plus 1 speed if 4+ pages were discarded last scene. Double relay. On discard, discard 1 page this scene and gain 1 haste and damage up next scene. On hit, inflict 1 fragile next scene. Double flip the table. On discard, give 1 haste and damage ups to all allies next scene. On hit, inflict 1 susceptible next scene and inflict 1 fragile next scene. So susceptible is just... okay, it's fragile, but opposite. Double shuffle hands. On use, discard 1 lowest cost page and draw 1 page. On clash win, draw 1 page. On clash win, gain 2 shields. And finally, Sakura. Plus number of pages discarded, minimum roll value. On use, discard 4 pages. On clash win, draw 1 page. On hit, inflict 2 fragile next scene. And on hit, inflict 2 susceptible next scene. Then for her buddies, 320 health, 135 stagger resist, normal endured, normal weak, normal. Bottom deal, double dealing, and Sakura. Low at night, high on day. On discard, gain 2 shields this scene and 1 haste and damage up next scene. On hit, inflict 1 susceptible next scene. And then double relay, double flip the table, double shuffle hands, and double Sakura. Who do we think can take them out? And so it begins. Discard versus the chorus. So, let's see. That is going to get absolute giga value. So I'm going to go for Heavy Peaks and just hope for the best. Then I'm also going to go for Overcome Crisis just to try and stack up damage a little bit. So this is... What's it going to be rolling? 7 to 8? Well, you know what? Here's what we're going to do. Overcome Crisis, we tank it. Then, we go for Unforgettable Memory. Over here... Let's go for Hard Rehearsal, just to have a chance, and then we're going to go for Unforgettable Memory once again. Let's see. Ooh, not very good pages with Frank just yet, so I'm going to go... I don't really want to use Scratch That this early, but we kind of don't have much of a choice. You know what? I'm just going to go for Double Gamble, and we're going to soak the rest of the damage. It is going to be a lot of Tremor, so let's go ahead and give it a try. Okay, we do get quite a bit of Tremor damage done. Overcome Crisis doesn't work, but that's fine. We're basically just going to have to tank most of the damage for this scene. Okay, Unforgettable Memory, not getting a whole lot of value, but we do get some Rupture damage in. The first of the gambles going down, Unforgettable Memory, second gamble going down, and Frank should be real OP now. So much so, we're actually going to buff him. Let's see. Now... Okay, we do... Oh, this is... Oh, beautiful layout. Oh, absolutely beautiful. So I'm... Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, Brawl is either going to hit Scratch That or Let's Play. Both are very good options. And then we just get to use Scratch That for free to apply a ton of Rupture. I'm going to go for another Heavy Peaks just to hope for the best. Let's go for Tendon Cords to try and get a little bit of healing. Let's see, 5 to 7. I don't think we're winning that clash, so I'm just going to go for that and then try and go for a little bit of healing with Tendon Cords. And I'm going to do it on you just to try and take you down. We're not really able to hurt anyone at the moment. So I'm going to go for Upbeat Performance for the one-sided attack. And then, honestly, I'm going to do it again. We're going to try and index Hanafuda to a little extent. I guess technically it's Jong's office, but Hanafuda is just the one that always stands out. Okay, quite a bit of stagger damage being done. A ton of Rupture coming down from Frank. We don't end up winning that clash, and we do end up taking a stagger for it. But a ton of Rupture is being applied. Upbeat Performance, unfortunately, is going to get blocked. But the second one is not. Tendon Cord's going to give us quite a bit of healing. And Frank is back up to 69 health. Let's see. We gamble and we stay calm. So, I'm going to go gamble here. I know it's probably not going to work, but unfortunately we don't have much other option. And then we go for Brawl. Shrine to Music. We're going to go ahead and give it a try. And then we're going to go for one-sided attacks. Actually, you know what? We'll go double Shrine to Music just to try and avoid a little bit of damage that we're going to be taking. And then let's go for ultimate stagger damage against Hanafuda. Ouch. Ouch. Okay. We do end up using the bigger page. That's fine. Unfortunately, we don't end up winning any clashes. We do take 40 damage just for our efforts. 40 more damage for our efforts. Okay, we also get deflected. Now we're going to go for Rhythm on Frank because he's the only one not staggered. Actually, no. Vivosa is currently not staggered either. I'm just going to go for Let's Play straight out. And then we'll go for a gamble. Then over here, I'm going to go double Tendon Cords for the healing. And we're just going to ignore most of the attacks coming towards us. Okay, well, we just took... Okay, yep. Over 300 damage has just been done this turn. That was an unexpected amount of damage to suddenly take. And Vivosa is the only one standing, so we lose. One could argue that it's not the play to fight discard with bleed. Those people are not alive. So here we go. The red note, giving us a little bit of extra juice for everybody. Shocking blow, trying to get some damage where it counts. However, we are taking quite a bit of damage. Sharpened blade is not enough, despite that extra power. Desperate struggle does manage to get through, but we are going to take a little bit of one-sided attacks. Okay, quite a bit of bleed on Hanafuda. Yeah, let's do axe on Myrn. Myrn? I'm telling you, I'm not saying that right. Either way, we're now missing quite a bit of health, and we are extremely hyper buffed. So hear me out. Nobody's going for us, so let's show them why that's a mistake. Then we're gonna go for an extreme damage one-sided attack. I'm tempted to go for frontal dodge. I don't know how well that's gonna go, but we're gonna try it anyway. Let's go for desperate struggle for the extra power. Then we'll go for Dark Cloud just to try and apply a little bit more bleed. Whether it works or not is another question entirely. High-speed stabbing, despite how bad it looks, we do actually have a fair chance to win. And then I'm going to go for combat preparation so that we're all buffed next turn. Let's do it. Dark Cloud doesn't work out. That is expected. We are going to take quite a bit of damage. Ouch, we do manage to get deflected. Desperate struggle, unfortunately, does not win that clash, despite how it looked like it should have. Extreme Edge and Destructive Impact, both doing quite a bit of damage. But Hanafuda still stands, at least for now. We're going to go for head-to-head, and honestly, we're just going to do it twice. That is not going to give us very much bleed this scene, but it's going to hyper buff us next scene. I'm going to attempt to go for Sharpened Blade, and then we're also going to do it again, just to try and keep ourselves alive. We'll go for Extreme Edge because it is going to be very, very powered up this turn. And then we're going to do a little bit of damage to Hanafuda. Ouch. Woo! 55 damage. Not bad at all. If we just had a little bit more dice power, I feel like we would be able to do this no problem. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like that's really going to work out. Even Firenze is having a little bit of trouble. We're going to go for Cocoon on Firenze. Oh my god, the amount of light that's... Yeah. Okay, we're going to go for Now Die. Now Die. And then we'll try and keep ourselves alive a little bit with the frontal dodge. Then, I'm going to go Destructive Impact, Extreme Edge, and Extreme Edge again. Try and absolutely index Hanafuda. Okay, seems like that's not really working out for Mern. Ow. Ow. Ah, just, you know, like 100 and something damage. Okay, we died to bleed before she did. Dang it, man. I'm trying so hard to convince myself that, yes, we should just continue Babel, but... God, I've tried to keep playing off and on for about 2 days now. Every time I get on Babel, I just think about how much I'm not enjoying myself, and you know, I already talked myself out of doing this once. But I gotta be honest, I mean, the feeling didn't take too long to come back. Guys, I don't know if I want to play this anymore. I gotta be honest. Like, I'm not having any fun. Like, I wanted to quit. I forget when it was exactly now. It was early urban plague. I was already pretty much convincing myself that I was done. I wasn't having any fun. But I saw how much you guys were enjoying the series, and there was people's characters that I wanted to get into it, and there's the fact that somebody donated a little bit of moolah at the very first episode. And there's so many things that I was thinking about, and I'm like, God, well, you know, I'm gonna be disappointing a lot of people if I stop now. And so I kept going, and we made it further. But guys, I'm just not having any fun, man. I'm really not enjoying this anymore. Like, I'm sorry, it is not fun to go against a fight where they're healing like 1,000 health per reception. And they're able to do guaranteed rupture damage, which you're not able to deny at all, because simply the act of hitting you applies more rupture, and winning a clash lets them heal health, losing a clash lets them heal health. They heal health at the end of every turn. They have up to 8 revives that heal them for 200, then 175, then 150, then 125, then 100. And yeah, even though you could just kill them in one turn, guess what? They have the very real potential of just getting another stack of persistence at the start of the very next turn. So you have to get them low health and prepped to kill them next round. But then guess what? They heal, and if they hit you, they heal again. And if you win a clash, guess what? They heal again. And you could think, oh, well, I'll just heal my own units. No, because they inflict anti-recovery, so healing against them isn't even an option. And not only that, you are expected to go through potentially, we'll say, 5 sweepers and 3 boss sweepers. Absolutely ridiculous. And then, moving on to the other fight, Eugene is literally just able to kill someone every single turn because she's able to use Boundary of Death, and it doesn't matter if it rolls 1, 2, 3, or 4 because it gets multiplied by 10 regardless, and it's getting extra power because she starts at reduced health. And then if you kill anybody, everyone else is getting buffed, and it just... I'm just not having any fun, man. And I already made one deleted video where I threw in the white flag, and I was like, you know what? I'm just not having any fun. You know, I really just don't want to continue. I know some of you guys are going to be disappointed, but I thought, you know what? There's enough people who want this series to continue. I've seen you guys revisiting previous episodes. I've watched episode 0 of the series climb up. Pretty much every time I upload, it's been getting views, the original episode 0, but I'm sorry, guys. You just have to know exactly what you're doing, and I think it just boils down to this mod is not made for someone like me, who, despite it all, is a pretty casual player of Library of Ruina. I'm just not sweaty enough for this, man. Like, we managed to pull through the wedge office reception, and I was so proud of that. I was so proud that we managed to get through that fight, because that fight already is freaking ridiculous. But then it just keeps getting worse. And then people have been telling me that Star of the City, there are enemies who can deal thousands of damage and have thousands of health. And I'm just like, I don't know. But I know a lot of you are going to be disappointed. And honestly, a lot of you probably already expected me to do this sooner. But I'm just not having fun. And, you know, yeah, there was the adrenaline of last episode where we got all the way to Urban Nightmare. And, you know, I was so proud of that because we got to Urban Nightmare. Yeah, we're still missing one general reception. But, like, we actually got all the way to Urban Nightmare. But now that I'm seeing what the Urban Nightmare fights have in store, I just don't know if I want to do it. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm sure some of you understand. If I'm not enjoying myself, yeah, you know, to an extent, I know you guys like me suffering and like me getting angry. Because, you know, to an extent, I like getting angry. I like getting frustrated, and it's like working through it, and then, you know, eventually coming out on top, and just the adrenaline rush for both me and you, and, you know, the mod developer or whatever, getting excited because, yes, look, people are able to work through it or able to do it. But here it's just, because, yeah, there's some high moments. There's some moments where, like, for example, when Firenze does, like, 200 damage and it's like Dopamine City. But it's like, why would I stick through 95% of just me being absolutely miserable just for the 5%, yeah, we did it, time to move on to something worse and even harder that I'm gonna enjoy even less? It's like, I don't know. This mod isn't made for someone like me. It's not made for the casual player in mind. Something else I do want to add, I'm adding this a few days after I've recorded it. I've recorded and unrecorded this particular section of the video multiple times. And I've been talking myself in and out of ending Babel. So I'm really torn, right? Because on the one hand, there's a lot of you guys that I really don't want to disappoint, because, you know, a lot of you guys have been telling me how much you've been enjoying the series. You know, obviously a lot of you guys have a lot of characters that I want to actually get some show time. But, you know, it is hard. I've tried to record more gameplay, and honestly, I'm just forcing myself at this point. So, yeah, originally I was going to say this is the set in stone, you know, we're done. However, since the mod is being updated fairly frequently, I think what I'm going to do is, we're not going to say it's over, because, like I said, the mod is constantly being updated. I've been teetering whether I want to end it or not. I think we're going to call a timeout. So, the series isn't over, but once again, it appears that I need a little bit of a stress break. So, I think that is the best compromise that I can come up with, because for quite a while, I was just like, you know what, it's done. I'm never playing it again. You know, whatever. But then I would immediately come back, well, there's so many people who enjoy it. There's so many people who want it to continue. There's so many characters that haven't even had their chance to, like, blossom yet. And so, I think that's the most fair compromise. I'm gonna take me a little bit of a break from Babel. We will come back after a handful of patches and updates have happened. And then maybe, since the first break went so well, the second break will come back revitalized and better than ever. I feel like that's just the best way to do it, rather than just fully cutting it off or forcing myself to continue playing as is. I really feel like that is the best thing to do. And I am recording this after the fact, because my thoughts are just so jumbled on it, you know. If it wasn't for you guys, I would have cut it off on the first one. And I'm pretty sure I've already said that, but it's true. you guys are the primary driving force right now for why I even want to continue Babel. So, with that being said, originally what was a goodbye is now just a I gotta go take me a nap, and we'll be back stronger than ever. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.